Ladies and gentlemen, we have Marshall Mcfadden. Marshall, welcome. I want to thank you personally for taking your time out to interview with me. Obviously, it's later on your coast than it is on my coast. And so just to give you a little bit of an intro, Marshall Mcfadden played for the Steelers, debuted in 2012. His career history obviously was with the Steelers in 2012 and currently with the Oakland Raiders. He is a linebacker. His accolades include a second-team All-MEAC in 2008. He holds Carolina records, actually in South Carolina. And so I wanted to thank you for your time, Marshall, with me tonight. Joseph Muya mentioned that you'd be interested in the interview, so that's why we're talking today.
Yeah, man. It's an honor to actually just tell the world my story, man, where I come from, and just the ins and outs of the NFL. And, it's a blessing to be a part of.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much again. It's definitely a pleasure. And so with that being said, to share some of your background and what you're currently doing right now, we'll have to go backwards to understand where you've been in order to know where you're going now. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, cool.
Sounds fair.
All right. So here we are. You are at South Carolina State University. You reached the pinnacle with over, roughly over 300 tackles. You had 30 for loss, which is fantastic. You had 10 sacks and some pick sixes, forced fumbles, and you had 3 fumble recoveries from those fumbles. So to kind of get right into it, it was the Steelers that actually took a chance to sign you to a reserve and or future contract January 18th. My question to you is, was there anything about the Steelers that interested you enough to say, yes, go ahead and sign me up, or did you just want to be drafted, period?
Well, so I can clear it up and get so everybody can get a full understanding of how my story is, being at South Carolina State, which is a black college, a very small college, so you got to put up good numbers to get an opportunity in the NFL. But not only that, I suffered 2 season-ending injuries. With that being said, one due with my elbow that put me out in 2007, and one would dislocate my wrist that put me out in 2009. So at the end of the day, I had a lot of baggage.
Okay.
I had a lot of baggage. So coming out in 2011, I had a little baggage with me about being injured and nicked up and stuff like that. And that was also during the time of the NFL lockout. So that it was rough for me during that time period, man. Just hoping I get a shot because everything was moving so fast.
Right, and of course as well as I do, everything runs at the speed of light in the NFL, especially when it comes to free agents, when it comes to undrafted free agents and what they're doing in the off season in order to make the determination after preseason who's going to make that 52-man roster.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. So with that being said, I went through 2011 without playing with anybody. I didn't get on a team.
Mm-hmm. How did you feel about that? What was your synopsis? I mean, you sat out, and so what happened exactly when the Steelers contacted you?
Well, actually, during that year I was in Charlotte, North Carolina, training, here at Velocity Sports, and this is where Steve Smith actually trained, and Thomas Davis, Omar Gaither, and a lot of other NFL guys trained. So my agent had me out here training because he believed that if I get a shot, that I can make an impact in the NFL just off my ability alone. And so I just had to go home one weekend, man, to the Olive Garden. Me and my mom went out to eat because I'm from South Carolina. Mm-hmm. So me and my mom actually went out to eat, and when I went out to eat, man, I got a call from Mr. Rooney, one of the head scouts, which is the brother of the owner.
Right.
And I got a call from him, man, and he was like, "Hey, Mark, how you doing?" That's what I was doing. We ended up meeting up, and after that, man, they flew me out to Pittsburgh, had to work out with them. And once that season was over in 2011, if I'm not mistaken, they lost against the Denver Broncos in the playoffs, if I'm not mistaken, something like that.
Right. It was an AFC a wild card game where we went to Denver, lost against Tebow, and of course, there's a whole nother topic right there itself.
That's a whole nother can of
a whole nother show, right?
But the day after that game, they offered me a future contract, and they was interested in me even when I was in college, and I was like, hey, the only thing thing I asked and prayed for is the opportunity. Here it go. Let me take advantage of it. So like they had like to work out, and after that game, and they ended up signing me to a future contract deal.
Right, right. Well, that in itself is an awesome feat, to come over injuries, to have the determination to say, you know what, this is not going to stop me. I'm going to roll. I'm going to do whatever I got to do to get on a team. And sure enough, there you landed with the Steelers.
Yes, sir.
So that's awesome, to say the least. and so, what did you think about being put onto special teams? And when you were put on special teams, how did you think your first time out actually worked for you? What did you like about it?
Well, I was being on practice squad most of the year, and when Coach Mike Tomlin told me, he was like, "Hey, man, we're gonna bring you up," So he was like, "This is your opportunity to show the world what you got." And with that being said, I'm like, "Wow, I'm really about to play on a Sunday." And my first game was a rivalry game against the Baltimore Ravens. So I'm like, "Wow, this is really big." I'm starting on all the special teams, so for one, I pat myself on the back because I'm doing something that I always wanted to do. But for two, man, it was one of the biggest moments in my life for me, my family, my son.
Right.
And it was just a happy moment. But at the end of the day, I knew it was business, and I couldn't enjoy it too much because I had to go out there and make sure I knew what I was doing and do my job. But that moment itself is, one of the biggest things that ever happened to me in my whole career. I played a regular season football game. I took advantage of it, did my job, and with that being said, I think our backup quarterback got hurt that game, and Derek Okachi got hurt that game, and
right.
That kind of they brought in Hoya and Plaxico Bears, and that kind of put me in the backseat again because I ended up getting booted back to practice squad, but.
Right.
They did end up getting active towards the end of that year against the Cleveland Browns. But at the end of the day, I had a very good time with the Pittsburgh Steelers, learning the ins and out, and also, I led the preseason in tackles that year also. Being with Pittsburgh was a learning curve for me, and I appreciate everything they've done in that organization. And when I left last year after preseason, I tipped my hat out to all of those guys.
Right, exactly. And so, looking at your play style, and there's been a lot of commentaries, and people have drawn up similarities between you and obviously former Steeler great, now free agent, James Harrison. Labriola was posting a tweet saying that you're someone to watch. And based on the footage that I've seen of you, you're definitely someone to be contended with, to be honest, because your hits were very similar to James Harrison hits. I mean, almost nasty, like the old Steeler D. You know what I mean, with Greg Lloyd and Aaron Smith and the great Tyrone Carter and Troy Polamalu, to say the least, which is a whole nother topic unto itself.
Yeah.
What do you think these similarities were, and how do you feel about being compared to James Harrison?
Just being compared with James Harrison is, it's a blessing. He's a Hall of Fame. He's a future Hall of Fame guy. Played in Pro Bowls, and all that good stuff, man. And just to be recognized as the same play style as him, that's awesome. Totally playing a totally different position, which that I play middle linebacker. He played outside linebacker. Mm-hmm. So to have people, comparing me to him is, it's big and it's a blessing. And only thing I can take for that is just keep going with it, and hopefully I don't lose that edge I got, and continue to strive and people to compare me with future Hall of Fame guys like that.
Right, exactly. So as that goes forward, as your career progresses, you are also known for covering extremely well in a 4-3 on the tight ends as well as the running backs. You're able to stop the run and cover the pass, which, in my opinion, is an extremely difficult thing to do, but you pulled it off relatively well. Do you believe you had a favorite player in mind based on those dynamics that you wanted to model yourself after?
To be honest with you, man, I did have a favorite player, and he wasn't on defense at all. He was actually a receiver. But if I was to go with a linebacker, man, and just a guy who I always love, always watching, he just get you up for a ball game, and that goes to Ray Lewis. You know, he was a freak, man. He was a study of the game, and he used all his strength. You know, he used all his strength, and he worked on his strengths, and it even made him better. And you know, somebody like that, man, you can learn from and actually look up to, and a great role model on and off the field.
Right.
You know, so well, he was one of the guys who always looked at. There's other linebackers out there that I also like, but he's just one of the guys that always stuck out in my mind.
Right.
You know, and even the old Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker, I'm gonna tell you back a little bit. LaVon Kirkland from Lamar, South Carolina. Actually, he's from the same place I'm from, Lamar, South Carolina.
Right.
And I watch him coming up, man. You know, he was a powerful, strong guy. Can do about anything with his size, and you know, there's just a couple guys who I looked at coming up when I was coming through.
Right. Exactly. So let's go to the other side of the ball. Who is your favorite receiver?
Oh man, I definitely got to go with Terrell Owens, man. He was just other than his attitude and the way he doing his personal life, you know, for him just being a pure football player. I love what he did on the field, and you know, he got me up, you know, every Sunday, man, to watch whatever team he was playing for, to see him go to work on the field.
Right, right, and you know, from what I understand, he's trying to get back into the NFL. So I don't know what that says. I don't know what the level is there of seriousness, but you know, it is what it is. So then, while you're on the field with the Steelers, with the linebacking core, it appeared that your knowledge of the game was already excelled. You'd already done your homework. You'd already looked over it. You already thought that, you know, this is end-to-end. This is how it's going to be. This is 3-4. I know my position. I understand it. And you knew the talent base that surrounds you on the field. Who did you model yourself after based on knowledge? And how did that affect your play on the field?
Based off knowledge, man, being with the Steelers, man, I had to prepare myself to laugh. But, man, he's a student of the game, and he's just so smart, man. And some things, and what makes Larry Foote so good is when he reacts, man, he reacts in what he already know because he knows what's coming. And when you're able to play like that, you don't have to be the most athletic guy or the most freakish guy, but just anticipating what's going on. You know, you can be a hell of a ball player without even being, you know, the best ball player.
Right, right.
You know, and, Larry Foote was a student of the game, and just the modeling, taking everything, you know, what he taught us was a blessing, and that's what I try to be like when it comes from a learning style or knowing the game. You know, definitely tip my hat off to Larry Foote on that level. Right,
exactly. And with that being said, Larry Foote and something about his innate ability, along with James Ferrier, just had the intuition factor. Same with Troy Polamalu. They all have intuition factors that allow them to make very dynamic plays when you would least expect it. You know, sometimes Troy would approach the line, then he'd back off just to kind of psych out that quarterback to make him think he was going over the top.
and see, though, you got to be comfortable. You got to be comfortable to do that. You got to know your playing style. You got to, you know, how you build it. And to do that, you can be successful at it. You can't just go out there and do it because you'll be all janked up. But to do that, man, you got to know what to do. You got to know what's going on. You got to be comfortable. And that's why Troy and Larry and James they was able to make plays like that.
Right, exactly. And they had those types of dynamics. And so we're going to go to a game. There was a certain game you were in where you forced David Carr to throw the ball away, and you were working on your craft. You're working on going over plays, getting yourself ready during the off season for the regular season, through the practice squad, through the preseason, special teams at an inside linebacker position. What do you feel enabled you the most that you thought mentally you'd make a great impact on special teams?
You know, linebacker was the first thing that I needed to know, because that's one thing that brung me that point. You know, but any young guy that played the game in the NFL, a free agent, late round draft pick, you got to be a hell of a special teams player. That's just the way it is. You know, because you got so many veterans playing on defense, and you know they count on you to play on special teams and be a big impact player. So I took special teams very seriously, and I worked on my craft during practice and after practice. Took a very serious role You want to make the most plays you can make on a special team because that will make you stand out. And not only that, it'll help you with your linebacker position. And that's the approach I took to, playing special teams and all that good stuff.
Right. Well, that's awesome. Now, as far as Lawrence Timmons, he apparently contributed a lot to you on the field, off the field. How did Timmons assist you with your game style, and could you name the largest highlight to that?
Well, actually, I always knew of Lawrence Timmons because he's from Florence, South Carolina. He went to Wilson, and I went to Lamar. And so right there, we right down the street from each other. So I always heard of Lawrence Timmons, and he heard of me. So we always knew who each other was. And somehow, man, I ended up with the Steelers. And once I got there, man, the guy who took me in the back room, and he was just like, "Hey, man, I know what you do. I know where you're from. You're from South Carolina." He was like, "Man, hit anything to move." It was like, "You got an opportunity, so take advantage of it." And he was almost like a big brother to me. And not only that, I kind of compared my playing styles to Lawrence Timmons. An athletic type guy that can cover, that can stop the run and do things like that. So he was just a big brother to me, and that was the biggest highlight for me. A guy like that to take me up on his wing.
Exactly, and Lawrence Timmons himself has came up very big, especially last year for the Steelers. So, and to be honest with you, I look at him doing a lot more for the defensive line. With the addition of Cam Thomas, and now you have LeGarrette Blount on the other side of the ball, and you have Mike Mitchell, as a corner, and everybody's going to be in a very, very respective role. I don't see the Steelers being anything less than playoff caliber by the time it's all said and done during the regular season. So then, go ahead.
I agree with you, man. You never can count the Steelers out, man. They come, and they gonna come. That just it's in their DNA. That's who they are, and I don't care what NFL team you playing with, but you always got to be aware of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah. Right, exactly. I couldn't agree more with that statement. So you're doing these things in Pittsburgh. We're going to stay in Pittsburgh. You're doing it's a work in progress for you. Now, how do you believe humility has changed your dynamics on the football field to this day? And has it been hard to continue your humility throughout your career?
Actually, I've been through a lot in life. I really did, and I'll go ahead and put that on the table. And when I sit back and look at things, I always say that nothing ever been given to me. And so in order for me to get something, I have to go out there and take it. And being, released from the Steelers and, things of that nature, it just, I feed off of it. I really do. And just getting another opportunity goes to shows the respect I have for the game and for me to keep pushing, because that's what it do. When I go through humility like that, it just gives me motivation to strive for greatness and to prove a lot of doubters and people wrong, And I always been like that. That's always been me, and
right.
That's just how I deal with that deal, and it works for me. It really do.
Right, and it works for a lot of players, especially those that have been through a lot in their life personally, which they take in contrast and put it onto the field. So you know what? You're not going to keep me down. You're going to keep me rolling, because that's how I want to be. That's how I want to sit. That's a position that I want to put myself in, and to not surround myself with negativity, with positive people, with people that are going places and doing things with their lives will help me handle what I have to handle. So I totally understand. I totally understand where you're coming from on that, big time. So then, I heard you were a football guy as well as a basketball guy. So take me through your basketball challenges.
Coming up to grade school and high school and all that stuff, I played basketball, and just being in college, messing around with intramural basketball, doing the thing of that nature. Also playing with the Steelers on their celebrity basketball deal, going place to place, playing basketball. Basketball is fun. It's fun. You can run and jump. Just show your athletic ability. And all of that, when you got a little bit of skill to go behind it, man, you can go out there and do it and be pretty good at it. And I was just playing basketball so long that I actually got the skill. You know, I ain't gonna brag off it a whole lot. But if it come down to me and you playing 1-on-1, most likely I probably take. You know what I'm saying?
Duly noted. When I meet up with you sometime, we'll have to go on the court then.
Yeah, man. But you know, I definitely enjoy basketball, man. Any time I get an opportunity to play it, man, I'll go out there and show what I can do.
That's very cool. I can appreciate that. I was a coach. I coached farm league baseball, and I was on a championship pony coat league when I was growing up. And I had a chance to see both sides of the ball, literally. I don't do any coaching anymore, even though I probably should. It's been a lot of time and effort, you know, that it takes to learn your craft. And when you go through those processes, you become very humble because you realize what it takes to play that alternate sport, what it actually takes to handle staying inside of the paint and knowing your role if you're a power forward or a center or whatnot. So then you're performing. Speaking of charity, we're not going to give me a charity game, but you have some charity games that you were part of, as well as endeavors as a part of being a part of the Steeler organization. You went to University of Pennsylvania Cooking and Eating for a Healthy Life class. You've done some other charitable events. What kind of charities were you involved with other than the basketball event that you were in? How do you believe that they helped you personally?
I did a couple charity events for breast cancer, done that, and that's when you saw me cooking and doing all that stuff. And it was this old folks home that we went to in Pittsburgh, and we surprised the group of folks doing the exercise class. And me, Ike Taylor, Jonathan Dwyer, about us guys went up there and surprised them toward the end of their workout. And that was one of the coolest moments for me personally. There, just to see the faces of those people, man, and it's a memorable moment. But things like that, never take anything for granted. You know, when you got an opportunity, man, to pull somebody else along or to brighten somebody else day up, take advantage of that. And while I was in the spotlight, I've done that with the Steelers, and it teaches things. It teaches about life. It teaches about other people. Everybody's not going to be able to, be in the same situation you in. So if you can pull somebody up, do that. And that's all about giving back, no matter how you do it. But if you have somebody, if you can do it, and it's all about giving back when you're in the spotlight like that, because you never know how that can change somebody else's life.
Right. So then, humility plays a very key part. Again, knowing where you've came from, knowing where you're going, planning and strategizing where you're going to go. Do you believe that humility and staying humble, in your professional opinion, has led you to where you're at right now?
I don't believe it. I wasn't humble, and if I let humility get to me, go into a hole and never come out, I wouldn't be in the place that I am today. So you gotta face your fear, and you gotta know where you've been to go where you're headed. And I just like I told you before, I just take all that as motivation and feed off everything and learn from life, learn from being in Pittsburgh, learn from being in college, learn from being in high school, and you take all that stuff, put it together, and it makes you who you are.
Right.
And that's just how it goes, and you continue to climb that ladder, and whatever obstacles that you went through, you learn from those obstacles and keep climbing that ladder, and that's where I'm at.
Right. Well, I could definitely appreciate your philosophy, and humility leads people into all different segments of life. And when it comes to the game when it comes to football, that is no different at all. You have to understand it, you have to live it, and you have to breathe it, because the minute that you think you're better than somebody else, you ultimately may not have what you really thought that you had to begin with.
Totally agree. It's a lot of, and it happens to a lot of players, and you would be surprised, man. But because coaches have to do their jobs, and owners have to get their jobs, so they have to make people and players feel as comfortable as possible to perform at the highest level. Sometimes players get them being respectable by saying, "Oh, I got it done." I'm on the team. Now, it don't work that way. You got to be better than the next guy beside you.
Right.
You know, and sometimes they get shocked in the fact that a coach being nice, or well, the coach want to be nice. He wants you to play at the highest level. He don't want you to feel like nobody likes you. You know, so and guys sometimes get caught up in that deal and end up getting the short end of the stick, and they have nothing else to turn to. And like I said, humility, man, it can make you go in a hole, man, and never come out. You know, but depending on what type of person you are, what you've been through in life, you can come out that hole and be successful.
Exactly, and you definitely can. So as long as you're able to see that, recognize it, whatever errors that you've made in your life, recognize it, you know, set the plans for correction and move on.
Yes, sir.
And then once you move on, you're able to see things you otherwise would not be able to. I thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you in regards to everything that's gone on in your life, in the life of football, understanding your dynamics, and overall, it was a great interview. So thank you for your time. Certainly.
No problem. Anytime, man. It's the least I can do. And you know, I hope whatever you do in your career, I wish you much success. And you know, vice versa with mine, man. I hope you have a great night. And I'll be talking with you soon.
Absolutely. Sounds great. Thank you so much, Marshall. Have a great evening and enjoy your weekend.
All right, you do the same.
Thank you, buddy. Bye-bye.